They called it a family meeting, but I wasn't supposed to vote. I figured that out when I walked into the living room and saw them all already sitting there, laptops open, papers spread across the coffee table like some corporate board meeting. My son Derek and his wife Amanda on the couch. My daughter Lisa and her husband Brad in the armchairs. Even my wife Ellen was there, sitting off to the side with her hands folded in her lap, watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "Hey, Dad?" Derek didn't look up from his screen. "Grab a seat. We're just finishing up." Finishing up. Not starting. Finishing. I sat down in the only empty chair, the old recliner by the window that used to be mine before it became the guest chair, before my own living room started feeling like someone else's house. "So," Lisa said, closing her laptop with a soft click that sounded louder than it should have, "we've been going over the numbers, and everyone agrees this is the right move." "What move?" I asked. Amanda smiled at me, the kind of smile you give a child who's interrupting adult conversation. "We've been discussing it for a few weeks now. The house is just too big for two people, and the market's really good right now. It makes sense to downsize." My house. The house I'd bought 23 years ago, before Derek was born. The house where both my kids grew up, where I'd replaced the roof twice and rebuilt the deck with my own hands and knew every creaking floorboard by heart. "Downsize to what?" I said. "There's a really nice community about 40 minutes inland," Brad said. He had his phone out, swiping through photos. 2-bedroom condos, maintenance included, pool, clubhouse, perfect for retirees. Retirees. I was 57. "And the equity from this place," Derek added, "can be reinvested. We've already talked to a financial advisor about the best way to structure it." "We, not you. We." I looked at Ellen. She met my eyes for just a second, then looked away. "When did all this get decided?" I asked. "It's not decided," Lisa said, but her tone suggested otherwise. "We're all just agreeing that it's the smartest option, right?" She looked around the room. Derek nodded. Amanda nodded. Brad was already nodding before Lisa even asked. "Right, Mom?" Lisa said. Ellen hesitated. Then quietly, "It might be easier." "Easier, not better, easier." "There are papers," Derek said, pulling a folder from his bag. "Just preliminary stuff. Agent agreements, power of attorney for the sale, that kind of thing. If you could sign today, we can get the process started." He slid the folder across the table toward me. I picked it up. It was thick, maybe 30 pages, small print, legal language that blurred together if you didn't read carefully. And they wanted me to sign it today, right now, in this room where the decision had already been made, where my vote didn't matter because the count was over before I'd even arrived. "I need to read this," I said. "Of course," Amanda said, still smiling. "Take your time. We're not in a rush." But Derek's hand was already moving to his phone, probably texting the realtor. Lisa was opening her laptop again, pulling up spreadsheets. Brad was looking at me like I was a minor obstacle, something to be managed and moved past. I started reading. The first few pages were standard real estate boilerplate, but then I hit page 7. Power of attorney, like Derek said. But not just for the sale, for financial decisions, medical decisions, a clause that gave them authority to act in the best interest of the undersigned in matters where timely decision-making is required. I flipped to the next page. The condo they'd picked out wasn't just smaller. It was an hour and 20 minutes away from here, in a retirement community where the average age was 72. I'd looked into places like that once when my dad got sick. They were nice enough, but they were designed for people who were done, people who didn't work anymore, didn't build anything, didn't have anything left to do but wait. I was 57. I still ran 4 miles every morning. I'd just finished rebuilding a storage shed for a friend, done all the framing and roofing myself. I wasn't done. "This gives you power of attorney," I said. "Just for convenience," Derek said, "in case something comes up and you're not available." "Like what?" He shrugged. "I don't know. Medical emergency, legal issue. It's standard." It wasn't standard. I'd never signed anything like this for my own parents. "And this condo," I said, "it's pretty far out." "It's a great area," Brad said. "Quiet, safe." Quiet. They meant isolated. I looked at Ellen again. This time she was staring down at her hands, twisting her wedding ring around her finger, a nervous habit she'd had for 30 years. She only did it when she was uncomfortable, when she knew something was wrong but didn't want to say it out loud. "I need to think about it," I said. The room went quiet. Not the comfortable kind of quiet, the kind where everyone's just taking a breath, the tense kind where people are exchanging glances and recalculating their strategy. Dad, Lisa said, leaning forward. We've been over this. The market's not going to stay this good forever. If we wait too long... I said I need to think about it. Derek closed his laptop. How long? I don't know. A week, maybe 2. 2 weeks? Brad laughed, but it wasn't a friendly sound. You've lived here for 20 years. How much more thinking do you need to do? Brad, Amanda said quietly, putting a hand on his arm. Then to me, we understand this is a big change. We just want to make sure everyone's taken care of. Everyone. But the way she said it, it sounded like she meant everyone except me. I stood up. I'm going for a walk. Dad, Derek started. I'll be back in an hour. I left the folder on the table and walked out. Behind me, I heard the immediate burst of low, urgent conversation. I didn't need to hear the words to know what they were saying. He's being difficult. He doesn't understand. We'll have to handle this another way. Outside, the air was cold and clean. November on the coast, the kind of weather where you could see your breath, but the sun was still warm on your face. I walked down the driveway, past Derek's BMW and Brad's Lexus and Lisa's Audi, all parked like they owned the place. I'd driven the same Ford F-150 for 11 years. It was parked on the street because there wasn't room in the driveway anymore. I walked for an hour, maybe more, through the neighborhood where I used to know everyone, where I'd helped build fences and install sprinkler systems and lend tools that never quite made it back. Most of those neighbors were gone now, replaced by younger families who didn't make eye contact and had their groceries delivered by people in vans. When I got back, the cars were all gone except Ellen's. The house was quiet. I found her in the kitchen, washing dishes that were already clean. They left, she said without turning around. I figured. Derek said he'll call you tomorrow. I sat down at the kitchen table. What do you think about all this? She kept washing the same plate, running the sponge over it in slow circles. I think they've made up their minds. That's not what I asked? She finally set the plate down and turned to face me. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying or trying not to. I think, she said slowly, they decided a long time ago that we don't get a say anymore. We? You, she said. Mostly you, but me too, if I disagree with them. I'd known that, somewhere in the back of my mind, but hearing her say it out loud made it real. How long has this been going on? I asked. A while. She sat down across from me. Little things at first. Derek correcting the way you talked about your work, like you didn't know what you were doing. Lisa acting like every opinion you had was outdated. Brad making jokes about old-school thinking whenever you suggested anything. Why didn't you tell me? Because I thought it would pass. I thought they'd grow out of it. She reached across the table and took my hand. But they didn't. They just got more convinced that they're smarter than us, that we're obsolete. Obsolete. The word hit harder than it should have. What do you want to do? I asked. She squeezed my hand. I want to see what happens when they realize we're not. That night, I read the entire document they'd left. Every page, every clause, every piece of fine print. It was worse than I'd thought. If I signed this, I wouldn't just be selling the house. I'd be signing away my right to make decisions about my own life. They could decide where I lived, how I spent my money, what medical care I received, all of it legal, all of it justified as acting in my best interest. I thought about my father, who'd worked 40 years in construction and retired with a bad back and hands that barely worked anymore. He'd spent his last 10 years in a nursing home, not because he needed to be there, but because it was easier for everyone else. I'd visited him every week, watched him fade away in a room that smelled like disinfectant and overcooked vegetables, surrounded by people he didn't know. I'd promised myself I'd never end up like that. I set the papers aside and opened my laptop. I had money saved, not a lot, but some. I'd been working maintenance and facilities management for a logistics company for the past 12 years, steady work, decent pay. I knew how systems worked, how buildings worked, how to fix things that were broken and spot problems before they got expensive. I started researching. Property values, coastal real estate, distressed sales. I wasn't looking for anything big, just something small, something I could manage. 3 hours later, I found it. A beachfront motel, 30 units, about 90 miles up the coast. It had been in foreclosure for 2 years, passed between banks and holding companies, sitting empty because no one wanted to put in the work to bring it back up to code. The pictures showed peeling paint, broken windows, a parking lot full of weeds, but the bones were good. Concrete foundation, solid framing, roof that looked newer than the rest of it, and the location was perfect, right on the beach, the kind of place that would book solid in summer if someone fixed it up. The price was listed at $240,000. I had $70,000 in savings. I'd need a loan for the rest, and even then it would be tight. But it was possible. Ellen came into the room around midnight, found me still staring at the screen. "What are you looking at?" she asked. I turned the laptop toward her. She looked at the pictures, scrolled through the listing, read the description. "It's a wreck," she said. "I know. It would take months of work." "I know. And they'd hate it." I smiled. "I know." She smiled back. "Show me the numbers." We stayed up until 3 in the morning, running calculations, making lists, figuring out what was realistic and what wasn't. By the time we went to bed, we had a plan. It was rough, full of assumptions and best guesses, but it was a plan, and it was ours. Derek called the next day, like Ellen said he would. "Hey, Dad, you had a chance to think things over?" "Yeah," I said. "I'm not signing." Silence. Then, "What?" "I'm not selling the house. I'm not signing the power of attorney. I'm not moving to that condo." "Dad, we talked about this. We all agreed." "You all agreed. I didn't. This is what's best for you." "No," I said. "It's what's easiest for you." Another silence. When he spoke again, his voice had changed. Colder. "You're making a mistake." "Maybe, but it's my mistake to make." "Mom's on board with this?" "Ask her yourself." I heard him take a breath, the kind you take when you're trying to stay calm. "Fine. We'll talk about it at Thanksgiving." "Sure," I said, knowing we wouldn't. "Thanksgiving." He hung up. Thanksgiving was 3 weeks away. I didn't wait that long. I called the bank handling the foreclosure, talked to a loan officer about commercial property loans, what they'd need from me, what my options were. They wanted tax returns, employment verification, a business plan. I gave them everything they asked for. 2 weeks later, they approved me for $170,000 at a rate that made my accountant wince, but it was enough. Combined with my savings, I had what I needed. I bought the motel on a Tuesday. Derek found out on Wednesday. He showed up at the house at 7 in the morning, still in his suit from work, his face red like he'd been yelling at someone in the car on the way over. "What the hell did you do?" he said, not even waiting until he was all the way through the door. "Bought a property," I said. "Coffee?" "You bought—" He stopped, visibly trying to control himself. "You bought a motel, a condemned motel, without talking to anyone. It's not condemned, it's in foreclosure. There's a difference. Dad, this is insane. You don't know anything about running a motel. I know about maintenance. I know about facilities management. I know about logistics. That's 90% of what a motel is." Lisa showed up 10 minutes later. Must have been called by Derek. Then Amanda. Then Brad. All of them crowding into my kitchen like I was the one intruding. "This is a disaster," Lisa said, scrolling through something on her phone. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" "I bought a business." "You threw away your retirement on a building that should be bulldozed." "Maybe." Brad laughed, that same unfriendly sound from before. "You're going to lose everything. You know that, right?" I poured myself a cup of coffee, took my time adding cream. "Maybe." "Why?" Derek said. "Just tell me why." I looked at him, at all of them, at their expensive clothes and their new cars and their absolute certainty that they knew better than me. "Because it's mine," I said. They left angry. I heard them outside, standing in the driveway, talking in urgent voices about intervention and protecting him from himself, and maybe it's not too late to reverse this. Ellen stood at the window, watching them. "They're going to make this difficult," she said. "I know." "They're going to try to stop you." "I know." She turned to face me. "Good." The motel was worse than the pictures suggested. I drove up there the next weekend to see it in person, walked through all 30 units, made notes on everything that needed work. The list was long: electrical, plumbing, drywall, paint, carpet, fixtures, furniture. One unit had a tree growing through the bathroom window, but the foundation was solid, like I'd thought. The roof was only 5 years old, the parking lot needed resurfacing, but the asphalt underneath was still good, and the location was perfect. Right on the beach, with views that would sell themselves once everything else was fixed. I took out a second loan, this one smaller, for materials and equipment. Started calling contractors, getting quotes, comparing prices. Most of them took one look at the place and quoted me numbers that would have bankrupted me twice over, so I decided to do most of it myself. I'd done renovation work before, years ago, before the kids were born. I knew how to frame, how to run electrical, how to do basic plumbing. I wasn't licensed for the big stuff, but I could handle the labor, hire specialists only when I had to. I quit my job, gave them 2 weeks' notice, cleaned out my desk, said goodbye to people I'd worked with for over a decade. Derek called that night, angrier than I'd ever heard him. You quit your job? Are you trying to destroy yourself? I'm trying to build something. You're 60 years old. 57? You're too old to start over like this. You need stability, you need health insurance, I need you to let me make my own choices. He hung up on me. Thanksgiving came. We weren't invited. Ellen called Lisa the week before, asked what time they wanted us there. Lisa said very carefully that this year was going to be just immediate family, and maybe it was better if we did our own thing. Immediate family. Ellen and I had been married for 34 years. We were their parents. But we weren't immediate family anymore. We spent Thanksgiving at a diner near the motel, eating turkey and stuffing out of styrofoam containers, then went back to work. I'd been staying up there during the week, sleeping in the one unit that still had a working bathroom and mattress that wasn't completely destroyed. Ellen came up on weekends, helped me sort through what could be saved and what needed to be thrown out. Christmas was the same, no invitation, no call, just a card in the mail from Derek and Amanda, generic season's greetings, no photo, no personal message. I didn't send one back. By February, I had 6 units renovated. New electrical, new plumbing, fresh paint, tile floors, furniture I'd bought cheap from a hotel liquidation sale. They weren't fancy, but they were clean and safe and legal. I hired a local woman named Diane to help with bookings and cleaning. She was in her 60s, retired from teaching, looking for something to keep busy. She took one look at the place and said, "You've got a good eye. This is going to work." First booking came in March. A couple from Portland, traveling down the coast, looking for something quiet. They stayed 3 nights, left a 5-star review. Second booking came a week later, then a third. By April, I was getting steady weekend reservations. Derek called in May. "I heard you're actually running that place now," he said. No greeting, no small talk. "Yeah. How's that going?" "Fine. I saw some of the reviews online. Looks nice. Thanks. So listen, Amanda and I are thinking about doing a coastal trip this summer, maybe late July. You have any availability?" I pulled up the reservation system on my laptop. Late July was almost completely booked. Wedding season, family vacations, people escaping the inland heat. "Looks like I'm full," I said. "Come on, Dad. You've got 30 units. You're telling me you don't have one available?" "Not in late July." "What about early August?" I checked. "Also full." "Booked," I said. Silence. Then, "You're seriously not going to save a room for your own son?" "I run a business, Derek. I can't hold rooms for people who might show up." "Might? I'm telling you we want to come." "Then make a reservation online like everyone else." He hung up. Lisa called the next day. "Derek said you won't give them a room." I said I don't have availability. "It's your motel. You have availability if you want to have availability." "I'm running at 85% capacity right now, Lisa. I'm not turning away paying customers to hold rooms for family who haven't committed to dates." "We're not customers. We're family." "Then act like it." She hung up too. The calls kept coming. Brad, asking if we could work something out for a weekend in September. Amanda, wondering if there was a family rate she didn't know about. Even Ellen's sister, who I barely knew, calling to ask about availability for her daughter's graduation trip. I told them all the same thing, make a reservation online. If there's availability, you'll get a room. If not, there are other motels. By June, I was booked solid through September. That's when Derek showed up in person. Before we go any further, hit the hype button, take a second to subscribe, and like the video. It really helps the channel grow. And tell us in the comments, what would you do in this situation? He didn't call first, just showed up on a Tuesday afternoon, pulled into the parking lot in his BMW like he owned the place. I was on a ladder outside Unit 12, replacing a section of gutter that had come loose during a storm. "Dad." I looked down. He was standing at the base of the ladder, hands in his pockets, sunglasses on, even though the sun was behind clouds. "Derek, you got a minute?" I'm kind of in the middle of something. "It'll just take a minute." I climbed down, wiped my hands on my jeans. "What's up?" He looked around, taking in the parking lot, the fresh paint, the flower boxes I'd installed along the walkways. His expression was hard to read behind the sunglasses. "Place looks good," he said. "Thanks." "I mean it. You've done a lot with it." "That's the idea." He took off the sunglasses, tucked them into his shirt pocket. "Look, I know things have been tense between us. I know you feel like we pushed you into a corner with the whole house thing." I didn't say anything. "But this," he gestured at the motel, "this proves my point. You're what, 57? You should be thinking about slowing down, not taking on more." "I like the work." Dad, you're going to hurt yourself. You're climbing ladders, doing manual labor, probably not eating right or sleeping enough. This isn't sustainable. Seems to be working so far. He shook his head. You're being stubborn. You know that, right? You're so determined to prove you don't need our help that you're making bad decisions. I picked up the section of gutter I'd removed, carried it over to my truck. He followed me. We want to help you, he said. Amanda and I have been talking. We think it makes sense for us to buy into the business, like a partnership. We could handle the financial side, the marketing, the booking system. You could focus on maintenance. I already have someone handling bookings. Diane? Dad, she's a retired teacher. She's not a business professional. You need someone who understands revenue optimization, dynamic pricing, online marketing. She's doing fine. You're leaving money on the table. You could be charging 20% more for these rooms if you knew what you were doing. I set the gutter down in the truck bed. I charge what's fair. Fair doesn't pay the bills. It's paying mine. He stepped closer, lowered his voice. Dad, I'm trying to help you here. You're in over your head and you don't even know it. Let us in. Let us help you turn this into something real. It is something real. It's a motel. It could be a resort. It could be a brand. It could be an investment property that actually generates serious returns. I don't want serious returns. I want a business I can run. Why? He wasn't angry, just genuinely confused. Why does it have to be you doing everything? Why can't you just let people who know better take care of it? There it was. The thing that had been building for years, finally said out loud. People who know better. I appreciate the offer, I said, but I'm good. His jaw tightened. You're making a mistake. You keep saying that. Because it's true. He pulled his sunglasses back out, put them on. But fine, do it your way. Just don't come crying to us when it all falls apart. He got back in his car, reversed too fast, kicked up gravel on his way out of the parking lot. I went back to the gutter. That weekend, Ellen came up like usual. I told her about Derek's visit while we were painting the office. Partnership, she said, rolling the word around like she was tasting it. That's bold. That's insulting. Also true. She dipped her roller in the tray, worked it up the wall in smooth strokes. He wants control. He wants to fix what he thinks is broken. Same thing. To him? She was right. To Derek, anything he didn't control was broken by definition. It was how he ran his own life, his career, probably his marriage. Everything optimized, everything managed, everything running according to a plan he'd made. What do you think Lisa's up to? Ellen asked. What do you mean? Derek came here in person. Lisa's too smart for that. She's doing something else. I hadn't thought about it, but Ellen was right. Lisa was the strategic one. She wouldn't waste time on a confrontation she knew wouldn't work. Keep an eye on the reviews, Ellen said. That's where she'd hit first. She was right about that, too. The bad review showed up on Monday. 1 star, username, disappointed visitor. Avoid this place. Rooms are outdated despite claims of renovation. Owner is rude and unaccommodating. We had a family emergency and needed to check in early, but were told our room wasn't ready and refused any flexibility. When we complained, the owner was dismissive and unhelpful. There are much better options in the area. Save your money. I'd never had a guest ask to check in early. I'd never refused anyone flexibility. The review was a lie, but it sat there at the top of the listing, dragging my average down from 4.8 stars to 4.3. 2 days later, another one appeared. Health concerns. Found mold in bathroom. Reported it to management, but nothing was done. Ended up having to leave early and find another place to stay. Would not recommend. I'd personally renovated every bathroom myself. There was no mold. Another review 3 days after that. Unsafe. Electrical outlet sparking. Fire hazard. Reported to owner who seemed unconcerned. We checked out immediately. We'll be reporting to county health department. All the electrical was new, inspected, and certified. Diane called me on Thursday morning, her voice tight. We're getting cancellations. How many? 3 so far, all citing the reviews. One person asked if we'd resolved the mold issue. I pulled up the booking system. She was right. 3 cancellations in the past 24 hours, 2 of them for peak summer weekends. What do you want me to do? Diane asked. Nothing. I'll handle it. I called the review platform, explained the situation. The representative was polite but firm. Without proof that the reviews were fraudulent, there was nothing they could do. I could respond to the reviews, but I couldn't remove them. I responded to each one. Professional, calm, factual. We have no record of this reservation. All rooms are recently renovated and inspected. We take all concerns seriously and would appreciate the opportunity to address any issues directly. It didn't matter. The reviews stayed up, the cancellations kept coming, and my rating dropped to 4.1. Ellen was right. Lisa was too smart for direct confrontation. I started checking the security cameras I'd installed around the property. Nothing suspicious, no one sneaking around, no one trying to plant evidence of mold or electrical problems. Then I noticed something in the footage from 2 weeks ago. A car I didn't recognize parked in the lot for about 20 minutes on a Tuesday afternoon. No one got out, just sat there, engine running, then left. I enhanced the image as much as I could with the cheap camera system I had. The license plate was partially visible. I ran it through a vehicle lookup site, registered to a company called Prestige Property Management. I looked them up. They were a vacation rental company, the kind that bought up properties in tourist areas and turned them into short-term rentals. Professional, corporate, expensive. Brad's company. Brad worked in commercial real estate development, but his firm had a vacation rental division. I'd heard him talk about it at family dinners, back when we still got invited to family dinners. He'd bragged about how they were disrupting the hospitality industry by buying up motels and small hotels, renovating them, and running them as upscale vacation rentals. I called a lawyer, not for anything formal, just for advice. Explained the situation, the fake reviews, the connection to Brad's company. "Can you prove the reviews came from him?" the lawyer asked. "No." "Can you prove he paid someone to write them?" "No." "Then you don't have much. Best you can do is keep responding professionally and try to get legitimate positive reviews to bury the fake ones." I thanked him and hung up. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the pattern. Derek trying to buy in, get control. That failing. Then Lisa and Brad going after the business from a different angle, not trying to take it from me directly, but trying to make it fail so I'd have no choice but to sell. And if I sold, who would buy it? Probably a company like Brad's. Probably at a price well below what it was worth, because the ratings were tanked and the reputation was damaged. I got out of bed, went to the office, started digging through property records and business filings. It took me 3 hours, but I found it. Prestige Property Management had filed a letter of intent with the county 6 months ago, expressing interest in acquiring distressed hospitality properties in the coastal region for renovation and rebranding. 6 months ago, right around the time I bought this place. They'd been planning this from the start. I showed Ellen the documents in the morning. She read through them twice, her expression getting colder each time. They want you to fail. Yeah. They're not just waiting for you to fail, they're making you fail. Yeah. She set the papers down. So what are you going to do? I'm going to make sure I don't fail. I spent the next week working 16-hour days. I personally called every guest who'd stayed at the motel in the past 3 months, asked them about their experience, politely requested that if they'd had a good time, would they mind leaving a review? Most of them said yes. The positive reviews started coming in. Not fast, but steady. 4.1 became 4.2, then 4.3. I dropped prices for the next month by 15%, ran a promotion on a few travel sites. Bookings picked up, cancellations slowed. I hired a local contractor I trusted to do a full inspection of the property, document everything, take photos. He gave me a report certifying that there were no health violations, no safety issues, no mold, no electrical problems. I posted that report online. The fake reviews stopped appearing, but the damage was done. My summer bookings, which should have been at 95% capacity, were sitting at 70%. I was still profitable, but barely. And the gap between what I was making and what I could have made was getting wider. I was in the office going over the numbers when someone knocked on the door. It was Brad. He stood outside with his hands in his pockets, wearing jeans and a polo shirt, trying to look casual. It didn't work. He looked like exactly what he was, a corporate guy pretending to be relaxed. "Got a minute?" he asked. "Not really. I'll be quick." He didn't wait for permission, just stepped inside and closed the door behind him. "I've been following what's happening with your business." "I bet you have." "Those reviews, that's rough. Really unfair." I didn't say anything. "Look, I know you probably think I had something to do with that, but I didn't. I'm just observing from the outside, same as anyone else. Your company filed a letter of intent to buy properties like this." He didn't even blink. "That's public record. We file those all the time. It doesn't mean anything." "It means you're waiting for me to fail." "No." He sat down in the chair across from my desk, uninvited. "It means I'm a businessman who recognizes opportunities, and right now you're sitting on an opportunity you're not equipped to handle. I'm handling it fine. You're at 70% capacity in the middle of summer. You should be turning people away, But instead, you're scrambling to fill rooms at discount rates because your reputation took a hit you didn't know how to recover from. I'm recovering. Slowly, while bleeding money. He leaned forward. I'm going to be straight with you. My company wants this property. We wanted it before you bought it, and we still want it now. We'll pay you fair market value, plus 20% for the improvements you've made. Not interested. You haven't heard the number yet. Doesn't matter. 400,000. I blinked. The property was worth maybe 300,000 now, including the renovations. He was offering a third more than it was worth. Why? I asked. Because we see the potential, and because we have the resources to realize that potential in a way you can't. And if I say no? He shrugged. Then you keep struggling. Keep working yourself to exhaustion. Keep watching your savings drain away on a business that's never going to give you what you think it will. And eventually, maybe in a year, maybe in 2, you'll sell anyway. But by then, the offer won't be 400,000. It'll be whatever the distressed sale price is. Probably 200, if you're lucky. So you're threatening me. I'm explaining reality. He stood up. Think about it. Talk to Ellen. Talk to your kids. They're worried about you. I'm sure they are. He opened the door, paused. You're a good guy. You worked hard on this place. But working hard isn't the same as working smart. And right now, you're working hard on something that's going to break you. He left. I sat there for a long time, staring at the financial reports on my desk. 70% capacity, discount rates, positive cash flow, but not by much. One major repair, one bad month, one more wave of fake reviews, and I'd be underwater. Ellen came by that evening. I told her about Brad's visit, about the offer. 400,000, she said. Yeah, that's a good offer. I know. Do you want to take it? I thought about it, really thought about it. 400,000 would clear my debts, give me a cushion, let me walk away clean. I could find other work, something easier, something that didn't require 16-hour days and constant stress. But then I thought about Derek's face when he'd said, people who know better. I thought about Lisa's voice when she'd said, we're family, but meant you're not. I thought about Brad sitting in my office, explaining my reality to me like I was a child. No, I said. Ellen smiled. Oh, good. Even if it breaks me? Even then. The next morning, I got a call from the county health department. Mr. Patterson? A woman's voice said. This is Sandra Mills from Environmental Health. We received a complaint about your property and need to schedule an inspection. What kind of complaint? Multiple reports of mold, electrical hazards, and substandard plumbing. We're required by law to investigate. Multiple reports. From who? When do you need to come out? How's tomorrow at 10? I'll be here. I called the contractor who'd done my previous inspection, asked if he could be there when the county showed up. He said yes. The inspection took 4 hours. Sandra Mills was thorough, checking every room, every bathroom, every electrical panel. She took photos, made notes, tested outlets, ran water in every sink and shower. At the end, she sat down with me in the office. I'm not finding any of the issues that were reported, she said, because they don't exist. The complaints were very specific. Room numbers, descriptions of mold growth patterns, details about sparking outlets. Someone made them up. She looked at me over her glasses. You understand that filing false reports is a crime. I do. If you want to file a complaint about the complaints, you can do that, but you'd need to prove who filed them. And can you tell me who filed them? The reports were anonymous. Of course they were. What happens now? I asked. I'll file my report showing no violations found. Your business is fine to keep operating, but if we get more complaints, we'll have to come back. And if the complaints keep coming? Then eventually we'll have to take action, even if we're not finding violations. Where there's smoke, you know. She left. I sat in the office, feeling the walls closing in. They were good at this. They knew exactly how to hit me in ways I couldn't fight back against. Anonymous complaints, fake reviews, corporate pressure. All of it legal, all of it deniable, all of it designed to wear me down until selling was the only option that made sense. I thought about calling them. Calling Derek, calling Lisa, calling Brad. I thought about confronting them, demanding they stop, threatening to expose what they were doing. But that would just prove their point, that I was unstable, paranoid, unable to handle the pressure of running a business. So instead, I did something else. I called every business owner I knew in the area. Other motel operators, restaurant owners, people who'd been around for years and knew how things worked. I asked them about prestige property management, about their tactics, about how they operated. 3 people told me the same story. Prestige would target a property they wanted. They'd start with a legitimate offer. If that was refused, they'd start a campaign of attrition. Bad reviews from fake accounts, anonymous complaints to county agencies, permits mysteriously held up in bureaucracy, insurance rates suddenly increasing, suppliers raising prices or refusing service, all of it orchestrated, all of it deniable, all of it designed to make the target property so difficult to operate that selling became the logical choice. And once Prestige bought the property, all those problems would magically disappear. They did it to the Bayview Inn, one owner told me. Owner held out for 2 years. Eventually sold at half what the place was worth. Prestige renovated it, had it operating perfectly within 6 months. How'd they make the problem stop? Because they were causing the problems. They had people in the county offices, connections with review sites, relationships with insurance companies. Once they owned the property, they just made a few calls and everything got fixed. That's illegal. Prove it. I couldn't. No one could. That was the genius of it. I thanked him and hung up. That night, I sat down with Ellen and told her everything I'd learned. So what do we do? She asked. I don't know. We could sell, take the money, walk away. That's what they want. I know, but maybe they win this one. Maybe we pick a different fight. I looked at her. You want to sell? She took a long time to answer. I want you to be okay. I'm fine. You're not sleeping. You're barely eating. So I should just give up? I didn't say that. Then what are you saying? She reached across the table, took my hand. I'm saying that winning doesn't always look like you think it will. I didn't understand what she meant. Not then, but I would. November came and the motel was full. Every single room booked, most of them for weeks at a time. The construction crew in units 5 through 12, the film production in 15 through 20. Corporate guests and tourists and families passing through filled the rest. Derek and Lisa's housing deals were still stuck. Derek's structural engineer had found more problems than expected, pushing his closing date back at least a month. Lisa's wetland permit issue was tied up in bureaucracy, with no clear resolution timeline. They'd both had to find temporary housing elsewhere. I knew because Ellen's sister told her. Derek was in an extended stay hotel 40 miles inland, paying premium rates. Lisa and Brad were staying with friends, which was wearing thin. I should have felt bad about it. Maybe part of me did, but mostly I felt satisfied. They'd tried to push me out, control me, make me irrelevant. Now they were learning what it felt like to be on the outside. The weather turned cold in early November. Coastal storms rolled in, heavy rain and wind that rattled the windows and kept guests inside. I spent my days fixing small problems, a leaking faucet in Unit 3, a heating issue in Unit 18, a guest who'd locked herself out at 2 a.m. It was exhausting, but it was mine. Every fixed faucet, every satisfied guest, every 5-star review felt like proof that I could do this, that I wasn't obsolete or incompetent or any of the other things they'd implied. Then Brad showed up again. He came in the rain, no warning, just walked into the office where I was working on the books. We need to talk, he said. I didn't look up. I'm busy. This can't wait. I kept working on the spreadsheet in front of me. He stood there dripping water on the floor for a solid minute before I finally acknowledged him. What? You know what? The houses. You're interfering with private real estate transactions. That's illegal. I haven't interfered with anything. Bullshit. Derek's deal was fine until someone suddenly insisted on a structural engineer. Lisa's permit issue didn't exist until someone filed a complaint. That's not coincidence. The world's full of coincidences. He stepped closer to the desk. You think you're clever. You think you're teaching us some kind of lesson. But all you're doing is making things worse for yourself. How's that? Because we're not going away. We're not giving up. And every time you block us, we're going to push back harder. I finally looked at him. Is that a threat? It's a promise. Get out of my office. We're going to get those houses. We're going to move here. And when we do, we're going to make your life so difficult, you'll wish you'd just sold when Brad offered you a fair price. It's Brad, right? You're Brad. He blinked. What? You just referred to yourself in third person. When Brad offered you a fair price. You're Brad. You're talking about yourself. His face flushed. You know what I meant. I do. You meant you're working with Prestige to force me out. You meant you've been behind the fake reviews and the anonymous complaints and all of it. You just accidentally admitted it. His jaw tightened. You can't prove anything. Don't need to prove it. I just needed to hear you say it. I pulled out my phone. The recording app was running. I'd started it the moment he walked in, just in case. His face went white. That's illegal. Actually, in this state, only one party needs to consent to a recording. I consented, so this is perfectly legal. He lunged across the desk. I was ready for it. Not because I'm quick or trained or anything like that, just because I'd seen it coming in his eyes right before he moved. I pushed back from the desk and stood up. He came around toward me but caught his foot on the chair and stumbled. By the time he recovered, I was already at the door. "Get out," I said. "Give me that phone." "No." "You'll what? Assault me? Go ahead. There's a camera right there." I pointed at the security camera in the corner. "Smile." He looked at the camera, then back at me. The calculation was visible on his face. He was weighing whether it was worth it. "You're making a mistake," he said. "You keep saying that." "I mean it this time." He left, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the frame. I stood there for a minute, heart pounding, hands shaking. Not from fear, exactly. From adrenaline. From the realization that this was escalating beyond phone calls and lawyers and bureaucratic games. I sent the recording to my lawyer with a note. "Might need this." He called me back within an hour. "This is good," he said. "Not enough to prove anything criminal, but enough to show a pattern if they try to sue you again." "What do you think they'll do next?" "Hard to say. But Mr. Patterson, you need to be careful. People like this, when they're cornered, they get unpredictable. I can handle myself." "I'm sure you can. But maybe consider getting some security. Cameras are good, but they don't stop someone from doing something stupid." I told him I'd think about it. That night I installed better locks on the office door and the storage room, added motion sensor lights around the property, made sure all the security cameras were working and backed up to the cloud. Ellen came up that weekend. I showed her the recording, told her about Brad's visit. "He tried to grab the phone?" "Yeah, that's escalation." "I know." She was quiet for a while, looking out at the ocean. The storm had passed, but the water was still rough, waves crashing against the shore in irregular rhythms. "What if we did sell?" she said. I looked at her. "You want to sell?" "I want you to be safe." "I am safe." "Are you? Because it sounds like Brad's ready to get physical. And if Brad's ready, Derek probably is too." "They won't do anything." "How do you know?" I didn't, not for sure. But I also knew that if I backed down now, I'd never stop backing down. They'd push and push, and I'd give and give until there was nothing left of me. "I can't sell," I said, "even if it's dangerous." "Even then." She nodded slowly. "Okay. Okay? I'm with you. Whatever happens, I'm with you, but promise me you'll be careful." "I promise." 2 days later, someone smashed the windshield of my truck. I came out in the morning to find it spiderwebbed across the glass, a rock about the size of a baseball sitting on the driver's seat. The security cameras showed a figure in a hoodie approaching around 3 a.m., throwing the rock and walking away. The angle wasn't good enough to see a face. I filed a police report. The officer who took it was sympathetic but realistic. Without a clear image, there's not much we can do. Could be kids, could be someone with a grudge. "You have any enemies?" "A few." "Business rivals?" "Family, actually." He gave me a look. "You want to elaborate on that?" I told him a shorter version of the story. He listened, made notes. "So your kids want you to fail." "Want me to sell." "Same thing, sounds like." He closed his notebook. "I'll file this report, but I'm being honest with you. Unless we get more evidence or this escalates, there's not much we can pursue. My advice? Get better cameras, and maybe consider reconciling with your family before this gets worse." I thanked him and didn't mention that reconciliation was the last thing I wanted. I got the windshield replaced that afternoon. It cost $800 I didn't have budgeted. I added another camera pointing at the parking area. 3 days later, someone slashed 2 of my tires. 4 days after that, someone spray-painted "Sellout" on the side of Unit 23. Each time, the security footage showed a figure in dark clothing and a hood. Each time, the angle was just wrong enough that I couldn't make out a face. Each time, the police took a report and told me there wasn't much they could do. The motel guests started asking questions. Was the area safe? Were there problems? Should they be worried? I assured them everything was fine, just some vandalism, nothing to be concerned about. But I could see them exchanging looks, checking their locks, leaving earlier than planned. 2 bookings canceled, then 3 more. Ellen came up and found me in the office, staring at the cancellation emails. "This is working," I said. "What is?" "Their plan. They're making the motel look unsafe, making guests nervous. If this keeps up, I won't have any bookings left by December." "Can you prove it's them?" "No, that's the whole point. It's always just out of reach. Just deniable enough." "So what do you do?" I thought about it. I could hire security, but that was expensive and might scare guests even more. I could try to catch whoever was doing this, but they were being careful. I could call Derek and Lisa and Brad and tell them to stop, but that would just prove their tactics were working. Or I could stop reacting and start acting. I'm going to find out who they hired, I said. How? Same way they found me. I'm going to watch and wait and catch them making a mistake. He was leaning against his BMW, arms crossed, looking at the motel like he was appraising it for demolition. I parked and got out of my truck, kept my distance, stayed aware of where I was in relation to the security cameras. Derek. Dad. We stood there for a moment, neither of us moving. You need something? I asked. I need you to stop. Stop what? You know what. The interference, the sabotage, all of it. I haven't sabotaged anything. My structural engineer found problems that didn't exist 3 weeks ago. Lisa's wetland permit issue came out of nowhere, and now Brad's being followed. I kept my face neutral. Who's following Brad? You are. Don't play dumb. He's seen your truck outside places he goes. He's seen you watching him. Public streets. Public places. Derek pushed off from his car. This has to stop. You're making everything worse. I'm making it worse? You tried to sell my house out from under me. You excluded me from the family for 2 years. You hired someone to vandalize my business, but I'm making it worse? We never hired anyone. Brad did. I have the kid's statement. His expression flickered. Just for a second, but I saw it. He knew about it. I don't know what you're talking about, he said. Yeah, you do. Brad paid some kid $500 to spray paint my building, slash my tires, smash my windshield, all to make the motel look unsafe so guests would cancel. That's insane. It's on recording. The kid explaining everything. Derek was quiet for a long moment. Even if that's true, you can't prove Brad was involved. I don't need to prove it. I just need people to know about it. Your professional network, Brad's clients, social media. Once that recording gets out, Brad's reputation is done. You wouldn't. Try me. We stared at each other. I could see him thinking, calculating, trying to find an angle. What do you want? He finally asked. I want you to leave me alone. That's it? That's it. Stop the lawsuits. Stop the vandalism. Stop the interference. Live your lives and let me live mine. And if we do that, you'll drop this? You won't release the recording? I'll forget I ever had it. He was quiet again. I need to talk to Lisa and Brad. You've got 48 hours. That's not enough time. Then work fast. He got in his car, sat there for a minute with the door open. You've changed, he said. Yeah. I don't like it. I don't care. He closed the door and drove away. I went inside and poured myself a drink. Sat in the office, watching the security feeds, waiting to see if they'd try something desperate. Ellen called around 10. Derek came by the house, she said. What did he want? To talk to me, to ask me if you were serious about the recording. What did you tell him? I told him you don't bluff. I smiled. Thanks. He's scared. I could see it. He knows they went too far. Good. Be careful. Scared people do stupid things. We talked for a while longer, then I told her I'd see her this weekend and hung up. I didn't sleep well that night. Kept waking up, checking the cameras, expecting to see someone creeping around outside, but the property stayed quiet. By morning, I'd gotten maybe 3 hours of sleep total. I was making coffee when Diane called. We have a problem, she said. What kind of problem? Health department. They're here right now, saying they got a complaint about bed bugs. Bed bugs? We don't have bed bugs. I know, but they're insisting on inspecting every room. I'll be right there. I drove over. There were 2 health department vehicles in the parking lot and Sandra Mills standing in the office looking frustrated. Mr. Patterson, she said when I walked in, we need to talk. This is harassment. I understand you're frustrated, but we have to investigate every complaint we receive. Who filed it? Anonymous. Of course it was. We're going to need access to all 30 units. Half of them are occupied. Guests are still sleeping. Then we'll start with the unoccupied ones. It took 4 hours. They went through every room, checking mattresses, furniture, baseboards. They interviewed guests, asked about bites or itching or any sign of insects. They found nothing. Sandra pulled me aside when they were done. There are no bed bugs. I know. Mr. Patterson, this is the 5th complaint we've had about your property in 3 months. All of them anonymous. All of them unsubstantiated. Because they're all fake. I believe you, but my supervisor doesn't care if they're fake or not. She cares that we're spending department resources investigating the same property over and over. She wants me to recommend we open a formal case. For what? You haven't found any violations. For creating a public nuisance through persistent complaint generation. I stared at her. You're going to investigate me for being the victim of fake complaints? I don't want to, but if the complaints keep coming, I won't have a choice. What if I can prove who's filing them? Can you? Working on it. She gave me a look that might have been sympathy. Work faster. They left. I stood in the parking lot, watching guests check out early, watching my reputation take another hit, watching everything I'd built start to crumble. That's when I decided I was done playing defense. I called Derek. Time's up, I said. It's only been 24 hours. I don't care. I'm releasing the recording tonight unless you give me something better. Like what? Like Brad confessing on camera, like Lisa admitting to the fake reviews, like all of you acknowledging what you've done. That's never going to happen. Then I guess the recording goes public? Silence. Dad, please, think about what you're doing. I have. I've thought about it for 2 years. Every time you excluded me, every time you treated me like I didn't matter, every time you tried to control my life, I've thought about nothing else. This will destroy Brad's career. Good. It'll hurt Lisa too, and me, and Amanda, all of us. Should have thought of that before you tried to destroy mine. We weren't trying to destroy you. We were trying to help you. I laughed. It wasn't a good sound. You want to help me now? Then come down here and apologize. All of you. On camera. Admit what you did and apologize. You're insane. 48 hours from now, the recording goes to every news outlet, every social media platform, every business association Brad's part of. You've got that long to decide. I hung up. I knew it was a bluff. I couldn't actually destroy Brad's life over this, could I? Part of me said no, that I'd crossed enough lines already. But the other part, the cold hard part, said yes, said they deserved it, said they'd started this and I was just finishing it. I didn't know which part I agreed with anymore. That night, someone tried to break into the office. The alarms went off at 2 a.m. I was up and out the door in seconds, running across the parking lot in my pajamas and boots. The office door was open, glass broken. Someone was inside, moving fast, searching for something. I hit the lights. It was Brad. He spun around, eyes wide, holding a crowbar. Looking for something? I said. He didn't answer, just ran at me. I'd like to say I was ready for it, that I blocked him or dodged or did something smart, but the truth is he hit me full force and we both went down hard. The crowbar clattered away. We rolled on the ground, grappling, neither of us knowing what we were doing. He got on top, pinned me down, his hands around my throat. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, just reacted. I brought my knee up hard into his ribs. He gasped and his grip loosened. I shoved him off, scrambled away. We both stood there, panting, staring at each other. "Where is it?" he said. "Where's what?" "The recording. You've got it backed up somewhere. Tell me where." "Go to hell." He picked up the crowbar. I tensed, ready to run or fight or whatever came next. But he didn't swing it. Just held it, breathing hard, looking at me with something close to desperation. "You're ruining my life," he said. "You tried to ruin mine first." "I was trying to help the family." "By vandalizing my business? By filing fake complaints? By hiring someone to terrorize my guests?" "That wasn't supposed to happen. The kid went too far." "You paid him to vandalize my property." "I paid him to make it look rough around the edges, to encourage you to sell. I didn't tell him to slash tires or break windshields." "Same thing." "It's not." He lowered the crowbar. "You don't understand. Derek and Lisa, they're desperate. They need this to work. If they can't move here, if they can't make this family thing work, they're going to fall apart. That's not my problem. It should be. You're their father. They made it pretty clear I wasn't their father anymore when they voted me out of my own house. That was a mistake. Yeah, it was. But it was their mistake, not mine." He stood there, crowbar in hand, looking lost. "So what now? You release the recording and I'm done?" "Depends. On what?" "On whether you tell me the truth, all of it. Who planned this, who executed it, who's been behind everything." He was quiet for a long time. Then he set the crowbar down. "It was my idea," he said. "The vandalism, the complaints, all of it. Derek and Lisa knew I was putting pressure on you, but they didn't know the details. They didn't want to know. Why? Because I convinced them this was the only way. I showed them the numbers, showed them how much money they were losing by not being able to move here, by not being able to launch their businesses in this market. I told them you'd never sell unless you were forced to. So you forced me. I tried, but you're more stubborn than I expected." I almost laughed. Stubborn. That's what you call it. What would you call it? Surviving. He looked at me, really looked at me, maybe for the first time. I didn't understand, he said quietly. I didn't understand what this place meant to you. It's not about the place. It's about having something that's mine, something I built, something no one can vote me out of. I get that now. Too late. Yeah, probably. He took a step toward the door, then stopped. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. Are you? Or are you just sorry you got caught? He thought about it. Both, I guess. At least he was honest. Get out, I said. He left. I stood there in the broken office, glass on the floor, my hands shaking, my throat sore where he'd grabbed it. I should have called the police. I had security footage of him breaking in, assaulting me. I could press charges, ruin him legally and professionally, but I didn't. I don't know why. Maybe because he'd finally told the truth. Maybe because I was tired of fighting. Maybe because some part of me still remembered when he was just my daughter's boyfriend, nervous at family dinners, trying too hard to impress. I cleaned up the glass and boarded up the broken door. By the time I was done, the sun was coming up. Diane arrived at 7, took one look at me and the office and said, "What happened?" "Break in? Are you okay?" "Yeah." "Did they take anything?" "No." She helped me finish cleaning up. We didn't talk about it. She knew better than to ask. Around noon, Derek called. Brad told me what happened. I figured. "You didn't call the police?" "No." "Why not?" "I don't know." He was quiet. "Thank you." "Don't thank me. I'm still releasing the recording if you don't do what I asked. We'll be there tonight, 7 o'clock, all of us." "All of you?" "Me, Lisa, Amanda, Brad. We'll apologize. On camera, like you wanted." I almost couldn't believe it. "You're serious?" "Yeah." "Why?" "Because you were right. We went too far. We hurt you, and we need to own that." "What changed?" Brad told us everything. The vandalism, the hired kid, all of it. "We didn't know, Dad. I swear we didn't know he'd gone that far." "But you knew he was doing something?" "Yeah, we knew, and we didn't stop him, so we're complicit." I didn't know what to say. 7 o'clock, Derek said. "We'll be there." He hung up. I spent the rest of the day in a daze. Part of me didn't believe they'd actually show up. Part of me didn't believe they'd actually apologize. But at 7 o'clock, 4 cars pulled into the parking lot. Derek and Amanda, Lisa and Brad, all of them looking uncomfortable and nervous. I met them in the office, set up my phone to record. "Whenever you're ready," I said. Derek went first. He looked at the camera, took a breath. "I'm Derek Patterson. I'm here to apologize to my father for trying to force him to sell his house 2 years ago. We treated him like he didn't matter, like his opinion didn't count, like he was incapable of making his own decisions. We were wrong, and I'm sorry." Lisa went next. "I'm Lisa Hendricks. I'm here to apologize for excluding my parents from family events, for treating them like they were a burden, for prioritizing our convenience over their dignity. We were wrong, and I'm sorry." Amanda. "I'm Amanda Patterson. I'm here to apologize for enabling my husband's behavior, for not speaking up when I should have, for being complicit in making my father-in-law feel unwelcome in his own family. I was wrong, and I'm sorry." Brad was last. He looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. "I'm Brad Hendricks. I'm here to apologize for vandalizing this property, for filing false complaints, for hiring someone to damage my father-in-law's business. I acted out of greed and ambition, and I nearly destroyed something good in the process. I was wrong, and I'm sorry." I stopped the recording. We all stood there, nobody quite sure what to say next. "That it?" Derek asked. "That's it? So you'll delete the other recording?" "I'll delete it." Relief washed across all their faces. "Does this mean we can move forward?" Lisa asked. "Try to rebuild?" I thought about it. Did I want to rebuild with them? Did I want Sunday dinners and birthday parties and all the trappings of a normal family relationship? I honestly didn't know. "We can try," I said. "But things are different now. I'm different. You can't treat me like you used to." "We know," Derek said. "And you can't stay here. The motel's still fully booked." Lisa actually smiled. "We found other places. Both deals are closing next week." "Good." We stood there in awkward silence for another minute. "We should go," Amanda finally said. They started to leave. Brad lingered at the door. "I really am sorry," he said. "About all of it." "I know." "Can we ever fix this?" I looked at him, at the man who'd hired someone to vandalize my business, who'd broken into my office, who'd tried to strangle me just hours ago. "I don't know. I said honestly. He nodded and left. I sat alone in the office for a long time after they were gone, watching the sunset through the broken door, thinking about everything that had happened. I'd won, I guess. I'd kept the motel. I'd made them acknowledge what they'd done. I'd proven I wasn't obsolete or irrelevant or any of the other things they'd implied. But it didn't feel like winning. It felt like surviving. Ellen came by later that night. I showed her the apology video. "They actually did it," she said. "Yeah. Do you believe them?" "I don't know." "What are you going to do now?" "Keep running the motel. Keep my distance. See what happens." She put her arms around me. "I'm proud of you." "For what?" "For not backing down. For standing up for yourself. For surviving. I hurt people. They hurt you first. That doesn't make it right." "No, but it makes it understandable." We stood there together, and for the first time in 2 years, I felt like maybe things would be okay. Not perfect, not healed, but okay.